Welcome back, everyone, to another reaction video. Well, right now, the YouTube algorithm gods are smiling on one of my reactions to Salmonella Academy, their video on historical misconceptions, so I thought I'd do another one. I'll put links in the description to my other reactions to his work, as well as the link to the original video, so you can make sure to give that a like and a subscribe to that channel if you haven't already. Just a real quick note about a couple of things that are coming up. Tomorrow night, I'm going to a Sabaton concert. Well, technically it's a Judas Priest concert, but I don't really care about them. I'm just going to watch Sabaton. They've got me on, my wife and I, on the guest list, so we're getting in for free. And I don't know if I'll get to meet the guys or what that's going to look like. I'm supposed to hear back from their road manager later today about the details, so hopefully we will. And I will definitely get you guys a video to see some of the highlights from that concert as soon as I can. Also, in the early stages of planning a trip to the Little Bighorn battlefield in Montana. I'm excited about that. I'm planning on making that a series, much like I did with Vicksburg, where I'll kind of retrace the steps of the entire campaign that led up to the Battle of the Little Bighorn. Doing my research right now, listening to a few books, trying to dive into it all I can. Some really great resources out there, and the understanding of that battle is constantly changing. So I'm excited to be able to bring you the latest information about that. But for now, we're going to dive into mass hysteria throughout history. If you like what you see and you want to see more of it, please consider subscribing to this channel. Let's go ahead and dive in.
Hey kids, if you've ever been Black Friday shopping or visited the Diablo subreddit recently, chances are you've encountered mass hysteria at some point. Mass hysteria—
Wait, the Diablo, as in the game subreddit? Fun game, by the way. I remember when the original came out, what a lot of fun it was to play.
Hysteria is known medically as mass psychogenic illness, or MPI for short. It's basically just when a bunch of people start acting a fool for no discernible reason other than maybe a stressful environment. Being that this sort of thing is naturally very noticeable, there's loads of documented cases found all throughout history. Let's take a look at a few. This first one is what made me make this video in the first place. So one day sometime in the Middle Ages, a group of nuns in a French convent were enjoying a quiet, uneventful day, until one of them decided to start meowing. You know, like a cat. You'd think this would last all of 4 seconds
like
before another nun was like, "Excuse me, Sister Gertrude, would you kindly cut the shit?" But instead, another nun joined in, and another, until basically the entire nunnery was exchanging mouths like a group of communist trading card enthusiasts. This wasn't just a one-time thing.
Okay, so Mao's, as in M-A-O, as in Chairman Mao from China. That's the communist reference there.
Either. It basically became integrated into their way of life. It's said that on a given day, they would stand there meowing in each other's faces for hours at a time. Could you imagine being the first outsider to witness this? You might laugh now, but as they say, everybody gangsta till the nuns start meowing. I'd void my bowels and move to Malaysia without even thinking. Miles more terrifying than this pile of garbage. As you can imagine though, after a while it stopped being scary and just got annoying, leading to the neighbors calling in a band of soldiers to deal with the situation. Hey guys, can we talk to you for a sec about
Oh my god.
All due respect, but we have orders to literally beat the hell out of you with whips till you start acting like people again. Sorry, sir. It's just force of habit. Haha. Seriously though, we would rather go to hell for throttling a gaggle of nuns than put up with another minute of your bullshit, Caprese. Our next event—
So let's talk a little bit more about that one. So I've been doing a little digging to try and find some more information about this one, and as near as I can tell, the earliest documented source that mentions the meowing nuns was actually a book in 1844 that says that it happened in the 1400s. So I'm not feeling particularly confident in the veracity of that one. 400 years between when it happened and the first documented source of it doesn't give me a great deal of confidence, at least when we're talking about something this recent. So I don't know. I'm going to chalk that one up to possible, but not likely. Let's go ahead and continue.
It took place in the parish of Fatima, Portugal in the year 1917. It all started with 3 shepherd children, ages 10, 9, and 7 respectively. They were like, "Greetings, fellow Portugueseites. We've been seeing visions of the Virgin Mary, and she told us to tell you that some real crazy shit's gonna go down in the sky on October 13th. Now, if 3 random farm children started spouting out prophecies to the public today, you'd say, ha, what tomfoolery. Go play in some dirt, you dirty little dirt baby. But keep in mind, the past is a different country. And Portugal's a different country, so that's like different country squared you gotta think about. Plus, this was during World War I, a time where a lot of people were holding out for a miracle to begin with. So the kid's story was actually picked up and even spread by local newspapers, to the point where, when the day finally came, at least 30,000 people gathered in Fatima to witness the alleged miracle. Lo and behold, on that day, the sun began zooming around, careening towards Earth and sending rays of multicolored light cascading across the sky, creating a light show like nobody's ever seen. Keep in mind, this happened in the 20th century, way after the era where belief in divine jiggery and or pokery was considered mandatory, so naturally there were plenty of skeptics and non-believers present, and even they saw it all happen. Or so they thought. How do we know the sun didn't really whiz around haphazardly that day, Well, number 1, use your frickin' brain. And number 2, accounts differed wildly from person to person. While some say the sun zigged hither, others say it zagged thither, and others still said it shined a brilliant yellow and stayed perfectly still. As such, it was eventually concluded that the event was just a combination of MPI and weird eye stuff from too much sun staring. Although I'd like to believe it was real, just that Jesus' illusion skill was way higher than his alteration at the time. Yep, that's it. Sam's going to hell. Why, for blasphemy? Trust me, that was the least offensive part of that joke. Our next tale...
All right, so the Fatima thing is very well documented. Happened about 100 years ago. It's been talked about a lot. Let's look a little more into this one. So I've actually heard some about this here and there. They actually call the vision of the Virgin Mary within the Catholic Church, they call this Our Lady of Fatima. And it was actually after they did some digging into it and some research. The Catholic Church's official stance is that it is, quote, worthy of belief. So they talk about that. And then, of course, there's the miracle of the sun is what they say. And they actually, some documentation gives the number of people who were there as high as 100,000, including reporters and photographers. It says various claims have been made as to what actually happened during the event. The 3 children who originally claimed to have seen Our Lady of Fatima reported seeing a panorama of visions during the event, including those of Jesus, Our Lady of Sorrows, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and Saint Joseph blessing the people. Father John DeMarchi, an Italian Catholic priest and researcher, wrote several books on the subject, which included descriptions by witnesses who believed that they had seen a miracle created by Mary, Mother of God. According to accounts, after a period of rain, the dark clouds broke and the sun appeared as an opaque, spinning disk in the sky. Witnesses talk about their wet clothes suddenly becoming completely dry. Not all witnesses saw the sun dance. Some saw radiant colors. Others, including some believers, saw nothing at all. The only known picture of the sun taken during the event does not show anything unusual. No unusual phenomenon at the time. So, and then, it kind of tells the story of the 3 children. Here's actually a picture of them there. These are the actual 3 children who saw this. It was actually, I believe, a boy and 2 girls. The published memoirs of Sister Lucia in the 1930s revealed 2 secrets she claimed. This is another part of this, and this is one of the conspiracy theory parts of this, is that they claimed there were certain things that the Virgin Mary told them that they never revealed publicly about things. And the 3rd secret was to be revealed by the Catholic Church in 1960. So I don't know, to my knowledge, if those things have ever been revealed. But that one's a little more interesting just because of the number of people involved and the number of documents about the event.
Took place in 1962 in Tanganyika, which was basically just the beta version of Tanzania. The nation had just declared its independence from Britain the previous year, and with the future so uncertain, tensions were naturally running high around this time. One little girl in a Tanganyikan school ended up handling the stress in a bit of an unusual way. Rather than overeating or staring at her ceiling for hours like a normal person, she just started laughing, and laughing, and laughing. Pretty soon, her classmates at the all-girls school she attended began to join in, to the point where 95 of the 159 students caught the gigglies, which lasted anywhere from a few hours to 16 days straight. Beyond just the unprovoked cackling, other odd behavior included aimless running and occasional violence. The problem...
Wait, are we just gonna kind of pass right by that part? Aimless running and occasional violence. Oh yeah, by the way, this happened too.
got so severe that the school was forced to close down temporarily, leading to the chortlers roaming the streets, spreading the affliction further. Thousands of people from all strata came to be affected, with 13 additional schools being shut down in the process.
School closing information. The following schools are closed due to inclement laughter. So I gotta say, you young people who get up in the morning and get on a website to check and see if your school's closed, or you get a notification on your phone about it, you have no idea what it's like to wake up at 6 in the morning and watch the names of the schools scrolling across your local news station in alphabetical order, waiting to see if yours is there or not. And when it's not, you watch them again 5 minutes later to see if yours shows up the next time. That's what life was like for us growing up.
Progress. Over the course of the hysteria, several other symptoms began to present themselves as well, ranging from obvious ones such as breathing problems, fainting, random screaming, to more anomalous things like rashes. Despite all this, no physical cause could be found, leaving MPI as the only explanation. The epidemic finally died down after between 6 and 18 months of day in, day out laughter, depending on the village. While this whole thing likely sucked for most people involved, it probably could have been worse. A lot of the time when I'm alone, I'll think to myself, man, if I ever go full schizo, I hope I'm one of the laughy ones, not one of the screamy ones. With this story in mind, just maybe, if I put my mind to it and believe hard enough, I can be both. Flashback to the year 1518 to the city of Strasbourg, at the time part of the HRE. A woman named Mrs. Trophy,
HRE, Holy Roman Empire, for anybody who's not familiar,
began fervently dancing in the streets for no discernible reason, for
That's kind of awesome.
then days. All without music, of course. Her only breaks consisted of occasional food intake and passing out from exhaustion when night came. If you saw that today, you'd just be like, ha, drugs. But apparently people found it pretty inspiring, because within a week, 34 others had joined in, and after a month, there were around 400. This wasn't your casual bobbing up and down neither. This shit made Zumba look like Tai Chi. Here's the best modern day simulation I could find. Now imagine that both of those people were the same person and you got the dancing plague. This would take a toll on any healthy person, let alone a medieval city dweller. But despite bleeding feet and aching bones, they just kept going.
Jeez.
In fact, they went so hard for so long that a good portion straight up fucking died from cardiac arrest. It got to the point where around 15 dancers were kicking the bucket every day before the city decided they had to do something about it. They managed to rule out any divine or supernatural causes, which was necessary just because, back in medieval times.
And this is also, this is 1518, so we're coming right up on the beginnings of the Protestant Reformation, which also happens in what is today Germany. So, this is a time when there's a lot going on.
That was fucking stupid. They eventually surmised that it was a natural disease caused by too much hot blood, as per that whole four humors thing that was popular at the time.
Let's talk about that for a second, the whole idea behind the humors. So the idea behind the four humors is actually one that existed for a large period of human history. It goes back to ancient times, and it came up all the way to the Middle Ages, and a little bit beyond in some cases. And so it was in Western physiological theory, one of the four fluids of the body that were thought to determine a person's temperament and features. In ancient physiological theory, still current in the European Middle Ages and later, the four cardinal humors were blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. The variant mixtures of these humors, so depending on what percentage you had of each one, determined your complexion, your temperament, your physical and mental qualities, and your disposition. The ideal person had the ideally proportioned mixture of the four. A predominance of one produced a person who was sanguine, phlegmatic, choleric, or melancholic. And so those are terms that still kind of get used sometimes today, and they have their roots in the whole idea of the humors.
For a cure, their prescription was, get this, more dancing. I can see where they were coming from. It's pretty sound logic. If you got a song stuck in your head, you play it till you're sick of it, same kind of thing. But here's where they goofed. The authorities actually went out of their way to facilitate the dancing, setting up a big stage area and even hiring musicians to keep the afflicted moving. All this achieved was attracting more passerby who were like, man, mass psychogenic illness looks frickin' epic, let's get in on that, causing the contagion to become even more widespread. Seeing that their solution backfired, the city then went the other way and completely banned any public dancing.
Wait, none of that disgusting flossing. Oh my gosh, that really was an epidemic for kids for a while. A lot of the schools where I would speak when I would do Rachel's challenge for elementary students, they inevitably, I would make some reference to Fortnite, and they'd all start doing the flossing thing, and it was really an epidemic.
Those who still showed signs of the mania were subsequently carted off to the Shrine of St. Vitus, where an exorcism-like ritual was performed on them. This ended up being highly effective, presumably for no other reason than that the dancers believed it would work, and after nearly 2 months, the plague was quelled. While this whole thing was most likely a case of good old-fashioned MPI, some historians believe it might have been egged on in part by ergotism, a state of psychosis brought on by eating tainted bread, which I talked a little bit about in this video. Ding. And hey, while I'm shilling for my channel, I might as well give a shout out to another as well. Today's video was sponsored by Cheddar, a network focused on producing fascinating content covering topics like technology, products, businesses, and the like through the lens of innovation. Here's one about desire paths, you know, like those lines of dead grass from people taking more convenient routes through places. It's one of those things that plenty of us have thought about but never actually explored in depth like this video. Cheddar's full of intriguing stuff like that. I highly recommend giving them a look. If you're more science oriented, they still got you covered with their Cheddar Explorer series. This one's all about how we can be sure if a species is really extinct or not. They talk a bit about animals we thought were gone that suddenly reappeared out of nowhere. Super interesting. Go check it out. Anyway, that's all for today. Till next time,
All right, so that was pretty interesting. There are obviously a lot more examples of mass hysteria out there. Wikipedia has a whole dedicated page with a list of mass hysteria events. Probably one of the most popular, of course, being the Salem witch trials here in the United States. That's the one that people usually talk about the most. But there are a lot of other ones throughout history. If you have a particular one that you want to talk about or bring up, use the comment section below. Let us know about that. But do a little research into mass hysteria. You'll see there are a lot of those out there. If you have a suggestion for another video, let me know, and I'll do my best to take a look at it when I get a chance. Thanks for watching.